everybody, Big Guy here. Welcome to Mike's Garage. Listen, I wanted to share a little bit about my background, I guess the military background here. Um, my grandfather was about 16 years old when he immigrated to this country in 1900, I think it was. And he was here a few years, and then World War I started. He wound up being in the military as a tailor. At that time, they used to make the uniforms, repair the uniforms. He used to make uniforms for the brass, the soldiers, whoever needed anything. He was one of the people in the military sweatshop that was making clothing for the military. So he was, I think he was stationed in Philadelphia or at one of the Navy yards down there where they had the manufacturing plant to make those kind of blankets and everything is what they did. So he was in World War I, pretty safe, wasn't in any combat. World War II came along. My dad was drafted. He was not the oldest. His oldest brother, my Uncle Mike, he was drafted and sent over to Germany. He was killed over in Germany towards the end of the war. He was captured and died in captivity. My dad wound up at the other side of the battlefield over in the islands near Japan, Guam actually, and he was in the ammunition business there. So he would get the ammunition off the ships and off the airplanes and distribute them. He had rifle ammo, tank shells, artillery shells, bombs. Everything came through the ammo dump there, munitions to get those out. So he did get back safe. And I had a third uncle that was in the military, and he stayed stateside because I guess at the time you weren't allowed to put three brothers in harm's way. One was in the European theater, one was in the Pacific theater, and the other one was stateside. And he was like a clerk kind of a position stateside. So, and they did have another brother, a fourth brother, who was too young to serve. And so the three of them did serve in World War II. Like I said, the oldest one didn't make it. But my father and his brother, Anthony, they all made it back. And so that's the story there. I guess it was, they started to worry about me. I was getting ready to graduate high school. The war was still on. They were still escalating. There was a big movement that started about the protests and everything about don't let anybody else go. We want to stop the war. And that's pretty much what I got into being drafted. I told another story about the protesters that were there when we got on the buses to get down to 401 North Broad in Philadelphia. And it got worse after that. I mean, it wasn't too soon after that that it went to a lottery for the draft. And then they eventually went to an all-volunteer army, which what we have today, which if you don't want to be there, I mean, there was a lot of guys in high school that I went to school with that didn't come back. There was 5 guys on my street that I grew up with, kids who we were. One guy was a helicopter pilot. He volunteered. He signed up to go to be an officer, a warrant officer, to fly helicopters. He got shot down 4 times. Twice on the 4 missions he went on, he was the only guy left alive. Everybody else was killed. The door gunner was the worst position you could ever be on a helicopter. The door gunners had a little metal plate in front of them with a 60 caliber machine gun. They usually didn't last too long in combat. Now, that's who you were aiming for. They aimed for that, and they aimed for where the blades go together at the rotor at the top of the motor. They were the 2 targets that if you were on the ground, that's what you were trained to shoot at. We didn't have to worry about that because they didn't have helicopters, only we did. So I know I ramble on. I get caught up in one thing and start talking about another. Like I said, one guy on the street was a helicopter pilot. Another guy signed up for 3 years to be a diesel mechanic. He went to diesel training school in the United States, went to Europe for a year. He wound up in Vietnam his last year, the 3rd year of his 3-year tour, and he wound up driving tractor trailers with ammo. And that's how they got the ammo from the loading airport or from the shipping containers out to the field. It was on tractor trailers. And he was, scared to death. Every day you could just blow up. So another guy was in the Navy. He joined the Navy for 3 years. He was a dental hygienist on a support ship. They would follow. They were part of the aircraft carrier group. They did wind up off of Vietnam. Not really any danger there. They really didn't have a Navy that you had to worry about. I mean, they had some swift boats in the rivers and things like that, but nobody ever came that far out. So they were launching aircraft from the aircraft carriers to give air support, and their ship had fuel and lubricants and things like that, and another ship would bring all the food and everything to supply everybody. So that was what he did. He was on the ship. Like I say, he worked in the medical department, trying to keep everybody healthy, transfer people back and forth. There was another guy on the ship. He was also in the Army. He stayed stateside. He was support. I think he did something with computers or something back in the day. He was like a clerk or something. So there was just a few of us that went. Some of the guys in high school got drafted into the infantry. They didn't make it. The one guy got killed by friendly fire. Whoever was in their platoon called in a military artillery strike or an airstrike, and they gave the wrong coordinates, and the stuff came on them. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know whether he called it in wrong or they hit the wrong target. So there was a lot of that went on. Unfortunately, if you called in the coordinates wrong, you got the hell just rained down on you instead of the enemy. So sorry to ramble on and on about that. A lot of people got caught up in that, and their families. I felt obligated to go, tell you the truth, because that's my uncles and my dad did that. They were drafted into World War II. You got to go serve your country. Turns out it was a bad thing to do. It didn't work out. Okay, thanks for watching Mike's Garage. Give me some comments. I need some more subscribers. I want to hear your story. If you were part of Afghanistan, Iraq, in the military, and you saw any of the things that we saw there, I'll let you get some other stories besides the ones from back in the day, back in Vietnam. So give me a comment, send it to my email. It's on the other videos. Thanks for watching. Take care now.